We are back. We are so back. Good evening, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to Review and Preview. My name is Thomas Scavetta, your host. Took a little break for a while to focus on some other work-related stuff, but we're back for NFL draft season. Want to quickly plug our social media and describe what we'll be talking about on tonight's episode. First and foremost, you can subscribe to us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, our four primary handles. And we have a link tree below as well. This is the NFL Mock Draft Show, folks. Tonight I'm going to have three very special guests on the show. One former co-host of the show, Fonz the Falco. Very excited to bring him up. Alec Walt from Down the Block Sports, diehard New England Patriots fan. And then, of course, our sixth man off the bench, Chicago Bears fan, Illinois resident, Andy Hopper. Without further ado, let's bring up Fonz the Falco. Alfonso, welcome back. How are you doing?
I'm good. It's mock draft season. Well, it's NFL draft season very soon. I'm excited. I love this, man. My old arch nemesis is here, though. I haven't seen this guy in quite some time. But Tom, thank you for having me. I'm very happy to be here.
Absolutely. Very excited to chop things up for you. Your Baltimore Ravens have had a very interesting offseason. By the way, Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins both on the Chargers. That should be an interesting talking point tonight as we get to the Chargers pick. But overall, Fonz, I mean, congratulations on a great offseason so far.
Well, listen, we may have won the offseason, but it's not over yet. We got to win the whole damn thing. You know, Lamar's got two MVPs, and next up, he's got to hoist the Lombardi Trophy, which I think will be very, very soon.
Next up, we'll bring up our Bears fan, picking number 1 and number 9 tonight, Andy Hopper from the Brew Party. Andy, welcome back.
Boys, it's always a pleasure to be able to share the mics with you beautiful gentlemen, and throwing Walt into the mix here last minute absolutely tickles me pink because I haven't been able to talk to that guy in forever. I was not aware of the Fonz and Walt rivalry, but I am excited to stir the pot a little bit tonight. And obviously draft season, my team has the first pick 2 years in a row. Oh boy. Obviously we all know what direction that is going, but I'm excited to see what the rest of the draft has in store for us. So, and really excited to be here tonight. Thanks again for having me, Tom.
Absolutely. Andy Hopper, a Champaign, Illinois resident. Next up, finally, thank you so much for doing this, Alec Walt, at the 11th hour. I should call you the 11th hour man with the way you came in clutch for us from Down the Block Sports. Walt, how are you doing tonight? Welcome to the show.
Oh, I'm doing great. Thank you very much for having me. I mean, I didn't know Fonz was going to be here until after I agreed to join this show. So it's great to see two of you at least on this panel here tonight. But, you know, I'm happy to be here. I'm not so used to having early picks in the draft when it comes to New England Patriots for so many years.
There he goes.
You know, they had picks later in the first round, and now they have one in the top 3, which is crazy. So, you know, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next week, but I'm happy to be here and do this mock draft preparing for that event.
Absolutely. We have our little fatal 4-way match. We'll do our plugs, podcasting plugs, after the show. At the very end of the show, we'll have also your links and tags in the description of this video. But first and foremost, folks, how this is going to work tonight, we're going to do a live first round mock draft with trades. The way trades work, gentlemen, and any questions, feel free to message in the private chat or just ask. That's totally fine. There's no shame. You can trade with each other. You can trade with yourself as well. There are no restrictions. Last year, we did no trades. Tonight, we can do trades, but let's try to limit it to like 1 or 2 trades max if we're going to go that route. I know there is some business that could pick up in the top 5 picks. Folks watching, appreciate and love you all. The fans, you guys make the show. Without you guys, we wouldn't have as good of a show. If you have any questions, comments on our picks tonight, feel free to comment in the comments section below. Make sure to like this video, not because we love likes, but it helps with the Facebook algorithm. And make sure to give us a share. We appreciate and love you all. So, gents, are we ready?
As ready as I'll ever be.
Awkward silence. I love it. Now, before we start, why don't we make our way to Detroit? Shout out.
I feel like I'm
Shout
there.
Wow. Where's Dan Campbell?
How about that ride in?
That was great.
Guess that's why they call it Sin City.
Well, Andy, it wasn't too much of a commute for you, at least. I mean, compared to the rest of us.
Andy, I'm sorry, Tom. I got to do it. That was just so bad. That was just so bad. Sorry, Tom. I have to do the soundboard. It's making.
I love the effort. I love the effort.
I got more.
So,
Well, what about you? Are you in DC or Mass?
I'm in DC.
Tonight.
I'm in Alexandria, Virginia,
Okay.
just outside of it.
Got it. Couple comments. Hello.
Hello.
Matthew Cox, Spencer Rattler, number one.
That's serious. I didn't know.
Correct me if I'm wrong, gentlemen, but wasn't Spencer Rattler at one point, like 2 years ago, mocked as the potential number one overall pick?
It was for
I
this
think
draft. It was for this draft.
Either this draft or last year's draft, and he absolutely just fell the fuck apart. I mean, that's how bad he was.
I think last year was projected number one before the season started. Then after, when he transferred to South Carolina, he was still projected to be high up. And I don't even know where he's projected now. I have
Wasn't
no idea.
Caleb Williams was his backup?
Yeah, that's what.
They
Shout
both
out to
transferred.
that's my buddy Matt Cox. Shout out Matt Cox. Yeah, he sucks. That's what I have to say about Spencer Rattler.
That's the graphic.
That's my
Spencer
analysis.
Rattler.
He
sucks.
sucks.
I
I'll
love that.
make it for the draft show.
All right. Does this screen share work for you guys? I know the tabs are annoying, so I might just delete them. Or
I
at
love
least try
this.
to. This is like freaking science fiction here, and these ads kill me every time. But let's enter the draft. We'll go normal speed. Okay. Let me see. All right. NFL mock draft 1.0, folks, ladies and gentlemen. Just going to finish sharing the show into these last couple of
Oh, boy.
groups.
We're timed here. Oh God, now I'm nervous.
We're under pressure.
There's
I
a
don't
lot
think-
of pressure now.
I don't think we should be timed. Are
I have
we?
no idea. I've never done this
Okay.
one. This is actually really cool.
Yeah.
I never seen this. This was from what is this, Pro Football Network?
Yes, PFN.
Come on, you do one of these every night. Be quiet.
Yeah, I do.
Look, we got Mike Wazowski down in the corner there with his head all covered up.
Oh, yeah.
All right, am I on the
Um,
clock?
okay.
It says you could. I actually looked up now. You can select your draft speed: slow, normal, or fast. What are we doing here?
Yeah, so
Just
I'm
fast.
on normal.
We do fast. I don't remember.
Like 30-second picks.
I can't do that. There's no way I can pick someone in 30
So-
seconds.
Andy, you have the first pick. I have the second. Walt has the third. Fonz has the fourth. So each of us, folks, will be making 8 picks. I'll make the selections. We'll screenshot and share the mock draft at the end of it. Let's get started. Andy, you're a Bears fan. Who is your pick and why?
With the first pick, I have a trade to announce. The Chicago Bears trade the first pick to the Pittsburgh Steelers for Justin Fields. I'm just kidding. This is not happening. This is obvious. It's Caleb Williams, first overall from USC. I mean, this guy's been touted as the next Patrick Mahomes. A can't miss prospect. Second year in a row for the Bears now having the first overall pick. So you really can't miss this one. So he's got a ton of, I want to say, pressure on him already. Just the way that they've kind of, built this team up. But I will say he is set up now to succeed way better than any quarterback they've ever drafted before. So excited to see where this goes. But yeah, it's pretty obvious. It's Caleb Williams at number 1.
All right. So Andy selects Caleb Williams. Gentlemen, any thoughts, any difference of opinion on this? Obviously, Andy made the pick. It's his, but other GMs in the war room here, what do you guys think of this pick?
No issues here. I think this is the perfect fit for the Bears. They want to find their next QB. They built around this guy. Caleb Williams been the number 1 projected pick for quite some time now. I don't have a problem with it. Perfect. Not a shocker here. You got your guy, right, Andy?
Very vanilla, but yeah, he's our guy.
I mean, I'd be 100% down for you guys to both skip Williams here at 1 and 2. Have him available at number 3 if that could be a possibility. But no, this is happening. We've known about this for a while. We'll see if the Bears don't screw this one up. It should be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
It'll be them.
All right, so I am up next, and I have the Washington Commanders. So, folks, if you don't know who I am, I'm a Giants fan. I don't like the Commanders, but a lot of people view them as the little brother of the NFC East. They're under new ownership now with Josh Harris. I believe they got Magic Johnson in there.
Mm-hmm.
Dan Snyder's out, new head coach and Dan Quinn, new OC and Cliff Kingsbury. Look, it comes down to 2 players for me, Drake May or Jaden Daniels. They have similar traits, but ultimately here, without drawing this out, I'm going to go with the Heisman Trophy winner in Jaden Daniels for the Washington Commanders, mainly because I think with Snyder out, this is the pick. If Snyder was still in, the pick would more than likely be Drake May. We know they traded Sam Howell to the Seattle Seahawks. Jaden Daniels with 5 years of starting experience, first-team AP All-American. My only concern with Jaden Daniels at the next level is that it's durability, and there's noticeable issues putting deep throws on faster wideouts and stride. And I think that's something he'll have to learn at the next level if he's going to be successful for several years. Thoughts on this?
I'm a big Jaden Daniels fan. I got to say that. So this is a really good pick, too. Like you said, the experience is there, too. I really am a huge fan of Jaden Daniels, so this is a good pick.
What about that weird picture of his elbow? Did you guys see that? When he was throwing, his elbow looked like really.
I did.
It went viral. Tom, you saw that? That's my only concern. Other than that, great pick.
I feel like everything Washington's done this offseason has pointed to Daniels, with, Cliff, Mariota. It makes a lot of sense. I don't think they'd make those moves to go after Drake May.
So,
agreed.
Walt, you're on the clock, but quickly here, I do have one comment. I am talking to a Commanders fan who thinks they're going to take Drake May. I don't know internally if that's what he wants and he thinks it'll be Daniels, or if that's just preference. He'll actually be live at the draft in Detroit. So that should be very, very interesting. But Walt, you're on the clock and you have a choice here. Are you sticking at number 3?
Yeah, I'm going to stick at number 3. I mean, I feel like this pick is determined based on 1 and 2. And in this situation, I think will take place at the NFL draft, as the Patriots will take Drake May. May's a big body pocket quarterback who has a strong arm. You look at New England, they've been a pocket offense for years, but the last couple of years, they've struggled with the arm of the quarterback. He's someone who is going to be able to get the ball to this receiving core. I mean, I don't think it's the best offense he's going to be working with, but he's going to be having guys like Kendrick Bourne and who returned to New England, which I was not expecting at all. Same with Hunter Henry and when he's back on the offensive line. My concern with him is like this roster overall just really isn't that talented. He's not coming here with a true number 1 wide receiver. I do expect them to make some moves in the draft to get additional playmakers for this offense. But at the end of the day, the Patriots need a starting quarterback. This is a draft that has 3 clear top quarterbacks. And if that's how the board's going to fall with Drake May at number 3, I think the Patriots are going to take whoever remains out of that top 3. And May will be the starting quarterback in New England.
Thoughts, gentlemen? Do we agree with – oops, did not mean to do that. Do we agree with this pick here? I totally messed this up. My apologies, folks.
Tom, you are okay.
He's rattled, folks.
He got shocked by the Drake May selection.
Absolutely rattled.
Yeah, out of all the the teams like with the situation with these three quarterbacks. Drake Mason, the one that's like you're concerning because, like Walt said, no true number one, no solid really running backs. I mean, even the offensive line could be some questions here too. Brand new coach. I mean, the Commanders have a new coach as well, but I think if he needs some time to develop, I think he definitely could be the guy going forward. Maybe not want to rush him into it right away, but as the three other teams out of the other two, with the situation, Drake May is the one in more question, but he does have the talent. I think he will do fine there in New England. Again, the Patriot way. We'll see how it works.
Absolutely looking to replace Mac Jones. Still looking for a real replacement since the departure of Tom Brady in 2020. My thoughts quickly on Drake May. Only 2 years starting, but really shined. Andy knows my thoughts on Drake May. I like the guy a lot. He is a boomer bust product, though, impartial because he plays in the ACC against weaker defenses, and his offensive line at UNC was dog. Fonz, you are on the clock at number 4 with the Arizona Cardinals.
The Arizona Cardinals, I'm not going to trade the pick, and there's been some rumblings they might move back to get some more draft picks and whatever. But I think this is like the perfect spot for Marvin Harrison Jr. I think take away the quarterback, he's the number 1 overall prospect to begin with. I mean, when your father's Marvin Harrison Sr., Hall of Fame talent, you have the genetics, excellent receiver, was at sometimes projected 1 at some points too early on in the college football season. The Cardinals, they know Kyler Murray's their guy. They want to give him a number 1 solid option receiver. They really haven't had that in a while, kind of since we saved Hopkins for that 1 year. But Marvin Harrison, stud receiver, big body, good catch radius. Big fan of him. I think he goes to the Cardinals at number 4.
All right, so first receiver off the board. So far, we got 3 quarterbacks: Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, and now Marvin Harrison Jr. I think this is a pretty obvious pick, and it's a great pick too. Definitely happy for him to land in the top 5. Anyone disagree with this, or are we all in lockstep here on this one, based off of how the board has fallen thus far?
I think it's a steal at 4.
Yeah, for sure.
I think they have no reason to not make this pick.
Yeah, like this is like if any other team moved up or what, like maybe someone would move up to take a JJ McCarthy, maybe if a team wants to do it. But if no one's calling for a number 4 spot, I mean, if Marvin Harrison Jr. is really right there in front of you, I think that's like you have to take him there.
All right,
I agree.
That brings us. Yep. Sorry, any additional stuff there, or?
No, I just said I agree. Like what I don't know what more, what other position that the Cardinals really need more than a weapon for Kyler, because it feels like they haven't given him one in quite a long time.
Absolutely. And you, my friend, are now on the clock with the LA Chargers, and a lot of people view that this is where the NFL draft officially begins.
So yeah, this is a tough one because when I originally had planned this out, I was hoping that Harrison Jr. would fall here because the Chargers really need a receiver. So I think I'm going to go ahead and go best available receiver, and I am going to go Malik Neighbors here.
Okay, thoughts on this, gentlemen? Second receiver off the board.
Definitely a need for the Chargers to let go of not only Keenan Allen, but Mike Williams. They want to have a solid weapon for Justin Herbert. Darius Slay and Quentin Johnston, but if he can develop nicely in his second season, him and Neighbors, that'd be a good 1-2 combo for Herbert. And now Jim Harbaugh is the coach, so I think this is a really good pick also.
If they still had like a Williams or an Allen on the roster, I would say they should trade back. But since they really don't have that many quality weapons, they have no reason to not get Justin Herbert at your number 1. Herbert's going to feed him. So I think this pick makes a lot of sense. I think if someone's going to trade up for a QB, it's after this pick.
I think this will be the pick, but I don't think it should be the pick. I think the pick here should be Joe Alt, because if you look at Jim Harbaugh's teams at Michigan, what do they do very well? They ran the football. They built from inside out, right? Their model system. You even saw it in San Francisco back in the day, over a decade ago. They ran the football with Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards, J.J. McCarthy, threw the ball about 15, 20 times a game. However, he took the job in L.A. knowing that Justin Herbert would be the guy. A little bit different situation here. You've already paid a quarterback, and now you bring in a new head coach and a new GM that inherit, one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL, one of the best, I should say, in my personal opinion. But I get it. They drafted Rashawn Slater a couple years back, but if it was me, I would like to go Joe Alt here, but I do agree. I think it might be Malik Neighbors in that sense, if that makes sense. My personal preference, I'm biased. You can see by my sweatshirt. I think Joe Alt would be very beneficial to Justin Herbert as well, on top of Malik Neighbors.
No, Alt is another good option there too. Like you said, with Jim Harbaugh, likes the ground and pound, the top offensive lineman. He's had that with Michigan for so long. Alt will be a good spot at there too.
Because their offensive line was fucking dog water last season too. Like
they could not
they could not stop a nosebleed. Fucking us four could probably get through that line. So I thought about Alt there too, but I just feel like who the hell is he gonna throw the ball to? Right?
That's what it is. Yeah. Like they lost, like Walt said, they lost two. It's not like they just lost Mike Williams or Keenan. They lost both Allen and Williams. So and Quentin Johnson, he had some troubles. Do you want him to be your number one right now in a sophomore season where you saw the troubles he had? Maybe not yet. So why not take the gamble on the prospect here in Neighbors?
LSU knows how to make receivers.
They're literally wide receiver.
They need someone badly.
Mm-hmm.
And Brian Kelly sure knows how to coach them. Number 6, Giants on the clock. Now, this is interesting. If the board falls this way, which I think is very possible, the Giants are likely to go one of two positions, receiver or quarterback. I still have some faith left in Daniel Jones to be the franchise QB. I know you guys laugh, but I literally listened to Justin Pugh's podcast today. He still believes in Daniel Jones as well, being his teammate last season. And I will stick to that. In this spot, there are no quarterbacks left available. And you have options here, right? You could go Brock Bowers at tight end with Darren Waller potentially looming retirement. You could go Joe Alt, but the Giants said they still believe in Evan Neal. I do think, though, there's a chance Evan Neal shifts into guard this season. And then you got Dallas Turner, who historically the Giants have built their championship teams through the defense, right? You look at the championship teams back in the 80s and 90s, and even the 2000s, Lawrence Taylor, Michael Strahan, George Martin, Leonard Marshall, Osi Umenyiora, Tuck, guys like that. In this position, though, I think the Giants really like Rome Odunze. In fact, I think they like him over Malik Neighbors. I think if Neighbors and Odunze are on the board, they're going Rome Odunze. You don't take McCarthy here, in my personal opinion. I think the Giants do stick at 6. The Vikings are definitely trying to call. But if the Giants aren't going quarterback here, there's no reason for the Vikings to trade up. I think Joe Schoen goes ahead and takes Rome Odunze, a big-bodied X-receiver that the Giants so desperately need. They need receiver more than a quarterback. And that's my personal opinion on that. So I went with Rome Odunze.
Great pick. Huge fan of Rome Odunze. I really am. He's one of my favorite prospects into the draft too. The Giants need that receiver, that guy, right? Even Tom knows firsthand, following this team for so long. They need that guy. I think Odunze would be very good for them. It definitely will help out Daniel Jones if they plan on sticking with him, at least for this season.
Okay.
Can't argue.
I do agree with this, right? Golladay was supposed to be that number 1. He wasn't, right? Kyler loves to get a number 1 in Marvin Harrison Jr. Daniel Jones, if he's healthy, is applauding this one. But that doesn't keep me from the Giants taking a quarterback later on, though, to compete. So that's what we got through 6. Number 7, I believe we are at Fonz.
Yeah, Tom did this on purpose because he knows the Titans are my arch nemesis of a team ever since the 2019 wild card game. We're divisional. I'm not still mad about that. Listen, they don't need to go quarterback here. You could make your argument for receiver. Why'd you put always in the mix? They always go 8-8, and they're always in the mix every single time. Anyway, they did sign Calvin Ridley as the wide receiver, potentially maybe even number 1 now. But there's no wide receivers you want to go up here at this point. They need help on the offensive line. For now, their new running back and Tony Pollard and protect Will Levis. I think here it's the perfect spot. He fell right instead of Laps. I'm going to go with Joe Alt, offensive tackle at Notre Dame. Big-bodied offensive tackle, protects Will Levis's blind side. Consistent starter with Notre Dame for his entire career, Tom, if I'm not mistaken. Excellent. Doesn't get injured, so that's really good for the Titans. So they've been struggling with injuries for the past couple of seasons. I think this helps a nice building block for the Titans offensive line in the Will Levis era. Perfect spot here. Joe Alt.
Yeah, their O-line was disaster.
Bad.
At
Bad.
points last year.
So
If they could get the premier left tackle of this class, you have no reason to not.
Yeah, 100%. Fellas, just knocking it out of the park.
I like this comment from Real Jon Snow, by the way. This is why I hate the Titans. This is exactly why. Yeah, give him a punt. Honestly, I was even just let the clock run out, to be honest. But I didn't want Tom to fire me. I wanted to do my job correctly. So I had to follow the rules here. So I did take Joe Alt here. But legitimately, this is like if I know Vrabel's not there anymore, but this seems like a very Mike Vrabel pick. Like Joe Alt here, like the big offensive tackle here. I just think this would be perfect. If he falls into laps at 7, excellent.
Personally, I love it. Best left tackle in the draft. Really, really good traits. He's got excellent footwork. Sometimes his hand placement, though, is inconsistent, and that has to improve at the next level. Sam Hartman and Jack Cohn, 2 quarterbacks that need a lot of time to decide. Joe Alt will help Will Levis and give him more time to decide and figure out what you got in your second-year sophomore QB. Good pick, Fonz. Good pick.
Thank you, sir.
Walt, back to you, I believe, right? For the Falcons at number 8.
Yeah, so you look at this number 8 pick right now, you look deeper in the draft, there's 3 teams that need a starting quarterback picking back to back to back. Atlanta needs defense. It's pretty obvious when you look at a lot of their moves through the draft and free agency lately. They've added Kirk Cousins and Bijan Robinson and Kyle Pitts and the receiver whose name I'm forgetting at this moment. Drake London. They have offensive pieces. There's been no defensive players taken in this draft. They can get an edge rusher 3 or 4 picks away from here.
Mm-hmm.
With the owner of the Vikings or I have Denver. I don't think they make a trade because their roster sucks. Vegas. Would anyone like to get on the phone? Because I think this is a perfect spot for Atlanta to trade back and still get what they want.
Yeah, Vikings
I'm
would
listening.
be Fonz.
That'd be me. All right.
The
I'm
Raiders
Denver.
are Tom.
I'm not going to make a trade. This team is terrible. There's no reason for them to get less picks to kill a quarterback.
So I would give you. So if I'm the Vikings at 11, Walt, right? Tom, just double check. I'm number 11. I'm Vikings at 11. I know
Correct.
All right. Ooh. So we just swap. You want to take 8 and 11 and I'll give you a fifth. I'll give you a 5th round pick. I don't know, and a beer next time I see you. I don't know. What do you want?
I'm not doing a 5th. Get the hell out of here. You're moving up 4 spots to get a quarterback.
No,
no.
legitimately. What's your offer? I'm interested. I'm interested in moving up to 8.
I mean, if you're moving up what? So okay, so that's 3 picks. God, that's not that. I mean,
because realistically, like I'm thinking this, like, because I don't know, like, before we do anything, Tom, like, what other teams would move up to take JJ McCarthy? Say at
it would be
8 or
Vegas.
It'd be Vegas.
Vegas.
Or Denver. I'm technically the one who has Denver, and I'm not. I think it's stupid for them to do it.
Yeah.
Saints are probably going to be one that takes a QB later in the draft.
Because for me with the Vikings, and I was gonna wait because I felt like if it was gonna play out like this, because the Falcons, they were gonna go defense, like you said. Chicago, they would probably go somewhere on the defensive side. Or
I mean, do we really think JJ McCarthy's going to fall to 11?
If somebody doesn't trade up for this pick, the Bears, if the Bears would be a prime candidate to trade down right after this.
Well, yeah, they only have 4 picks.
Especially if the board falls this way, because they could still get a defensive, an edge rusher. You could take a defensive tackle. You could argue that you take Fashanu if he's still available to bolster up the offensive line. So, but 8 and 9, I think these are, if you're going to trade up, this is what you're looking at right now.
Yeah, because if I'm not trading up, I'm taking Dallas Turner. They have no pass rush.
If the Vikings trade up, say 3 slots, what is it?
I'd say at least a third.
Swap first round picks, obviously.
Yeah, I would get your first. So I'd get 11.
What about 23? Vikings at 23 too.
I mean, if I was Fonz, I wouldn't give up 2 firsts to move up.
I wouldn't do 2. I wouldn't do 2 for. I wouldn't know for this year. No, I wouldn't do this year.
Do you have like a second or a third? Like, what's your situation later in the draft? I don't know what the deal is for the Vikings, because the Vikings traded their second round pick to move back in with the Texans, right?
I don't have the Vikings second pick in the first.
I have 23rd, so I guess you're negotiating with both of us. It's fine. Like, I'm
all
good.
right, a first and a third. Do you have a third?
The Vikings.
We have a third. Yeah. Do you want the third?
Yes, they.
That'd be your next closest pick, unless you got rid of picks next year, which would just be obnoxious. I'll do a first and a third. You can move up and get McCarthy.
First and a third, and you buy me a beer.
You're buying me a beer.
I don't know about that, but
So,
all right, yeah.
11 and a third, or 11, 23 and a third.
No, I don't think. I mean, I'll take 23.
If I'm the Vikings, I wouldn't give up 11 and 23. I would give up either 11 or 23.
Obviously, the Falcons
use 23 to trade back, but we can worry about that later.
All right, so
Minnesota left.
Oh, where are you?
Left, bottom left.
Okay, it's gonna be 8 for 11.
And then Minnesota's third.
Oh,
no.
fuck.
Oh, I'm sorry. So it'd be no.
Oh wait,
shit.
do they not have it? Okay,
They don't have a
again,
third.
that's why I didn't know what
It could be a. You know what it could be? It could be a comp third. This might be a comp.
It's a
third.
4th round. It's a 4th round pick.
Is it?
108.
Yeah, 108 is a 4th. So
Give
I'll take the 4th in next year's 3rd.
I was going to suggest
That's
I thought the
fine.
Vikings would do something like that. Like I was going to suggest, how about the 3rd for 2025? Because the Vikings,
All right,
listen,
so let's
think
propose this.
Rejected.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
All right,
Wow,
we're
we
gonna have
suck at
to.
this. Should I just take Turner so we don't have to do this for 3 hours?
I mean, we could. Let me try one more time.
Trade is stressful.
How do they reject a trade that we process?
Yeah, wait, hold on. Don't we control every
Yeah,
single
do that.
team?
Maybe try it without the 3rd on there.
Yeah, I'll take more picks. Throw them in there. Screw it.
Listen. Super Bowl teams are built in the 7th round. How about 230? Listen,
What do you think? Is
the Vikings would do something like this, or they'll trade a bunch of picks to get JJ McCarthy?
Yeah, how do you say no to that?
Yeah.
Yo, what the hell?
Wow.
This is why people don't do trades in these mocks. I feel like.
Yeah, that's why I don't like trades.
Here we are.
I mean,
All right.
I'm gonna get Turner at 11 probably, so this is great.
Yeah.
You want to just do Turner here? Because
I mean, yeah,
Andy already took a. So Andy already took a quarterback, and the Jets have.
You never
Rodgers.
know.
So realistically,
you never know. Maybe
unless somebody trades up.
But why wouldn't like Vegas do it? Denver, screw it. If no one's gonna do it, but like I don't know why this trade wouldn't go through. But I think it makes the most sense for the Vikings.
Yeah.
Try it one more time. 3rd time's a charm, right? 3rd time is.
Could it be why wouldn't it be getting processed?
All right. So how about this? This is not real life, so let's just go like fucking nuts here.
Wait, so are you doing the trade? You're okay. So maybe it's try doing it with just the first round pick and the fourth round pick. Because I think it's Minnesota, the computer that's Minnesota is saying no to Atlanta.
They're being like,
No.
It's the other way
going.
around, and we're just like going in the other direction.
Because they're saying that that's my guess. Who knows?
Maybe it's a. Ooh. Oh boy.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it just doesn't tell you which one's saying.
Right. It doesn't tell you
No.
which one is making it say no. That's the crazy part. There's no way to force it either, I don't think. So do we want to just roll with Dallas here?
Listen, you can do that because I feel like at 11,
right.
I'm assuming Andy's not going to take a quarterback at 9. Again, you never know.
So Dallas
Whoever's-
Turner to the Falcons.
I mean, we're gonna have this same conversation as who wants to trade up for 9 or who would trade up for 9 at this point, because I mean, I think the Bears wanted to, in my opinion, if Odunze's there at 9, the Bears take 9 or take him. But obviously he's not. He got taken, a little early. So, I would say their next biggest need would be something on the defensive line, an edge rusher. But also it's hard to ignore Fashanu there, falling down. I'd say Brock Bowers, but I mean, they don't really need a tight end. It'd be awesome to add a pass catcher like that, though. So I'm kind of thinking about that, but I think I go Jared Verse here. I think they take an edge rusher if they keep the 9th pick,
Ooh.
and it falls
Okay.
like this without trying to fuck with a trade.
That'd be good on the defensive line with Montez Sweat, too. It'd be a really good defensive line. I'm a fan of that. I like that a lot.
All right. So we got Jared Verse out of Florida State going to the Bears. Like it. High motor guy. Yeah. No objections here. I can definitely see him going high. So I have 10. And for the Jets, I think if it falls this way, I mean, you got to go. The smart pick would be Fashanu, but it's the Jets. They're
And
taking
Yeah.
Brock Bowers
Ah, damn it.
at 10.
That's something they need, right? I mean, on the offense, out of everybody obviously offensive tackle, but like that's something that people have been lacking, kind of the solid tight end, the past couple of seasons. They really never had a solid tight end. So that'd
Why
be
you
a
don't like
perfect-
CJ Uzama?
I don't even think
his
he's on.
name is.
I don't even think he's on the team
No,
anymore.
he was for a couple years.
That
Giant
Latu is
goofballs.
third edge taken. Yeah. Ravens winning the Super Bowl next year.
This is my
Love
guy.
it.
Get out
Love
of
it.
here.
This is
Get
my
out
guy.
of here.
Well, love it for you, not me.
Yeah. Tom confirmed Ravens fan.
Yeah.
But no,
Look,
this is Brock
they
Bowers. is very good.
shouldn't take Bowers, but he's a phenomenal tight end. He might be the best tight end we've seen come out in quite some time. Very excited about this prospect. Andy knows that I love tight ends personally. He's a receiving threat. Unfortunately, when I went to the America's largest cocktail party this year, Florida, Georgia, he was not playing. He was out with an injury, but he's the real deal. Noah Dibler called him last week at our meeting a future Hall of Famer. So it is very possible that Bowers could be the next Rob Gronkowski or Travis Kelce. He does wear number 87. So, well, actually, he wears number 19, but I feel like his number would be number 87. So that's the number he wore in high school. So 11. Who's got 11? Fonz, the Vikings. And oh my gosh, I mean,
I mean,
You
really, I
don't
mean,
gotta trade
yes.
up.
I think we want to take a trade here because I'm going to ride with Sam Darnold as my quarterback. No, I'm just kidding. No, I really realistic because we can't get the mock draft coming here, but I feel like if it was and everything too, sometimes even trades in real life don't come through. They'll more than likely trade up within the teams we mentioned previously. But if he's right there for the taking, personally for me, I don't necessarily see it yet, but I don't mind to be proven wrong. I think they're going to go with JJ McCarthy to replace the Kirk Cousins now. Sam Darnold's the QB there now, but I'm not going to rely on him as being your starting quarterback. JJ McCarthy. Darnold can start the first couple of games and kind of slowly bring in JJ McCarthy. And he's got a lot of he's got some good weapons on the offensive side too. And even the offensive line is not too bad. Defense is pretty solid. Not a bad situation for McCarthy as compared to the other ones like with Drake May for the Patriots, for example. So McCarthy here, I know there's a lot of people questioning him. They don't see it. I don't see it yet, but I think maybe I wouldn't mind be proven wrong. But McCarthy here, they need a QB. Perfect spot.
Fonz, wait until you see my top 5 quarterbacks on draft night
Oh no.
when we show the graphic.
Oh no. Oh no.
Just you wait.
Is it better than mine from a few years ago?
I don't know. Maybe. Walt, Andy, anything to add on JJ McCarthy? I feel like he wasn't really asked to do too much at Michigan, but when you look at his film, he really impresses. He's got the IQ to be a really good starter in this league, in my opinion.
Yeah, I've never been super impressed with what he did on the field, but you're right. He wasn't really asked to do much. Michigan was a lot of handoff, just handing the ball off. But he did, he made a couple big plays when he needed to. You look at his record in college, he only lost 1 game as a starter. That is very impressive. Jim Harbaugh called him the greatest Michigan quarterback of all time. I don't know if I'll go that far. But I do think logically, like him to Minnesota makes sense. Him to Denver makes sense. I will not be surprised if the Vikings get him on, draft night, but I will be surprised if they get him at 11. I think they trade up to get him. Obviously, as you guys saw earlier when we were trying to fuck with the trade thing, it didn't want to work for us. So here we are. But yeah, no, I agree with the pick.
All right, Walt, you were on the clock with the Denver Broncos. What's up, Noah Dog?
That was very true with that, by the way.
What up, my dog?
So this
All right,
is
Walt,
a weird
all you.
pick because Denver is so bad.
They're like a weird
And
spot.
they could use
They're
so
so
many different players. And the guy I think they should take, I don't even see his name on the screen. When Peyton was in New Orleans, they like to prioritize a lot in the draft: offensive line, defensive line, and corner. Denver's best player is a corner with Surtain. They're going to be trailing a lot. I think teams are going to be not passing 100 times a game. I don't really think corner's the move. I think they can get corner later in this draft. Guys, is anyone else here a Byron Murphy fan? Do you guys know who I'm talking about?
Texas.
That's the nose tackle or the D tackle, from Texas.
Remember he drafted guys like Cam Jordan. I just had it up in front of me. It seems like the trenches was an area they drafted in. Their defensive line sucks right now. When you got to rebuild, you got to start in the trenches. They get a guy who is a dog on the inside. He's a solid run defender, can also get to the quarterback as an interior pass rusher. They got a lot of work to do, but I see no reason for them to not get one of the toughest dudes on the interior in this draft.
It's a really good pick.
Byron Murphy.
I actually had Byron Murphy for one of my picks later on if he was available. What are they gonna do? Get a quarterback? I think. What I agree. I'm saying there's nothing that they could.
They're actually good at tackle. Oddly enough, with Bowles and McGlinchey. So Fashanu, I was thinking about, but I'm like, Bowles is still there. It's not really a perfect.
I think it's more the interior D line they would need help with too. And like you said, the safety class isn't that high up. A corner, I think they're pretty good at corner outside with Patrick Surtain the second.
And think about it, they're not going to be winning many games.
Yeah, and do you think is a receiver for them is worth it up here when the top 3 receivers are already gone?
Well, who's going to be throwing them the football?
Jared Stidham, your guy.
Oh,
They take- I like that's why I think
Also,
taking
that's the
Wilson
thing.
was
Are
stupid.
you going to draft Michael Penix at this point?
well,
I think they can get
No.
Penix later.
yeah, they can get him in the second round, I think.
Yeah, they're going to move back more than likely. But if they stick it
Penix
here,
is an injured quarterback who's also a lefty. There's a bunch of, I mean, I think he can be good, and we have with the left-handed QB in the league who is very talented right now, but he has some red flags that is going to affect his draft stock. He also got hurt late in the season. Did he get hurt in the championship?
Yes.
I think
A
that
little
was the
banged
issue.
up.
Yeah.
So I don't see any reason. I'm not a big Bo Nix guy. Denver could do a million different things and it works, but get
More than
tough on the
likely move
interior
back,
is a way
but-
to make it work.
More than likely move back, but I like the Byron Murphy pick here too. That's purred for Denver.
All right. So Byron Murphy goes 12. So 13. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not picking him. There's a real possibility Michael Penix Jr. goes at number 13 overall. There is, because when you want your quarterback, you go get him, and you have a disgruntled Devontae Adams. You want to keep him satisfied. It's really possible. People might not like to admit it. You just lost Josh Jacobs. But here, me personally, I'm putting my GM cap on. I'm not thinking in the shoes of Antonio Pierce right now, the head coach. Fashanu falls to 13. I know you have Colton Miller on one side, but you lost Jermaine Illuminor. And who knows, right? There are right tackles that convert to left tackles that convert to right. BPA, I think if Fashanu falls here, I think you take him. I mean, according to this, and I don't think this is fully legit, but he's the 7th rated on the board. To get him at 13, I personally think that's a score. So for me, I'm looking at O-line, corner, potentially quarterback. But I do think, well, like you said, there is a chance Penix might drop. However, I do think if Denver, for some reason, takes Bo Nix at 12, you bet your ass Penix is gone at 13. And we'll have 6 quarterbacks taken in the top 13 picks. But for this exercise, I'm rolling with Fashanu.
Bo Nix would be a disaster at 12.
Yeah.
Could you imagine him in Denver right now?
It might happen. They're talking about it.
Yeah,
I mean, if he's in Denver later in the draft, that's fine with me. And I get where you're coming from with that explanation. But man, that would be such a bad pick. He would
What do you guys think is more likely, that or Penix at 13?
I mean, I see Jon Snow's comment. They can take Penix or take a QB and have him sit,
Just
for
trade
a year or
back.
two. Well, more than likely, they want to get more picks. They want to be somewhat competitive, but you got to factor in the Devontae Adams situation. He said he's committed to being with the Raiders, but I don't know if you take that seriously sometimes with receivers now. You know what I mean? They say it one week and the next week they unfollow their team on Instagram, which is the that's how it is nowadays. They say they're unhappy. So I think Fashanu is if he fits there at 13, that's perfect for them.
They signed Gardner Minshew in the offseason. They have him and they have Aiden O'Connell. I mean, let them duke it out if you don't draft the quarterback. I do think
they can be competitive and they can compete. They're
Right.
not terrible quarterback. Again,
I mean, look at Minshew with the Colts last year, guys.
Pro Bowler.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think there's a reason to take one at 13, but don't be shocked if they do come draft.
The Raiders always do, even though no matter who's there now, they always do a random shocker in the draft. Remember Darius Hayward-Bay years ago? That's a throwback for people. I'm just saying.
Take the fastest guy.
What a steal. I agree with the pick. I would have done it too.
Andy Hopper, 14.
Well, I, like you, Tom, was kind of very surprised to see Fashanu drop this far. And I had already written him down for the Saints because I did not see you going tackle there for the Raiders. But I still think offensive line is a huge need for the Saints. It struggled at points last year. So with the 14th pick, I'm going to take Talise Fuaga from Oregon State. You play him at tackle. There's the people are talking about him potentially sliding over to guard as well. And I think the Saints need all the help they can get. So they go best available offensive tackle here.
I think you can
Or
put him
offensive
anywhere.
lineman, I should say.
You can plug him anywhere on the offensive line. They need help all over the place. So that's a really good pick. A versatility. So that's good.
Fuaga's really good. Really, really good. 15. Fonz, you're up with the Colts.
Well, this is good because I actually had him. I had a few guys for options here, but the number one pick I had for the Colts at this point. He's still on the board. They need help at corner. I think they need help at the defensive side. I think, especially when you are, but now against the Texans, that look like they're locked and loaded on the offensive side too. Jaguars can make some noise here, and the Titans they made some moves also. I have him taking Terrion Arnold, cornerback from Alabama. Really solid corner at Alabama for the Crimson Tide. I think definitely a nice athletic corner. Definitely would need to plug in and start right away because you're going up against like the Texans trio of sick wide receivers, the talent in Jacksonville and the Titans. You need to have that solid corner right off the bat. Arnold there, they had on my board since the beginning. Sits there for the Colts. Perfect spot.
I like it. First corner. Yeah. You know what's crazy? Remember last year?
Corner class. It's not a big corner class this year.
No.
I realized.
Like receivers were stacked last year, but not a single one went until pick 20. I don't know if you guys remember that. I mean, we were talking about it all night. So there was a big run on corners, tackles early in that draft. 16, I believe, Walt, this is you.
Yeah, so you look at a team like Seattle. They're having a new coaching change. I believe it's your Fonz saying as your is it the defensive coordinator?
Mike McDonald, yeah.
Yeah, so when I look at their team right now, I mean, they could really use some interior offensive line help. I do think it's a little early to go in that direction. They have some solid pieces defensively, but I think could really go edge rusher or cornerback, which is really good for this position because I think Latu and Mitchell are both really solid options. Oh boy, that's a tough pick. I would go Latu. I think getting additional pass rushers, especially on a defense, their best defensive lineman is Leonard Williams, who is really good, but they could use someone who has more speed coming off the edge. I do think that would be a better pick here. Weatherspoon, who they drafted a couple years ago, is a really solid quarterback.
Shout out.
He's good.
There are going to be Illinois. Could be other cornerbacks left in this draft. So I'm going to go with best edge rusher available, a premium position on a defensive line that could use some more depth at that spot. And I think Latu would be a great pick for the Seahawks falling to 16. I know he does have some red flags health-wise because I believe his career nearly ended.
Medically retired.
Neck injury. Yeah. So I'm not going to pretend that's not in the mind of every general manager that needs a pass rusher in this draft. But I think with his ability to line up multiple fronts, be that edge rusher for a team that has more interior defensive linemen than guys on the edge, this pick makes a ton of sense if they can handle his red flags and his medicals.
Not to mention, too, he started his career at Washington, University of Washington. Then he medically retired for 2 years, transfers to UCLA, has a really nice finish to his collegiate career. Personally, I probably would have went Fatanu here, but I see your point, Walt. I do think that Latu is a legit option being from the area. I definitely think he's probably the best available at that point. Jacksonville, who's at 17? Andy, back to you.
Back to me. Thanks, Tom. 17 is should I do it all as a fucking reporter on the scene? At 17, the Jaguars are ready to make their pick. I've seen some mocks potentially have them trading down out of this pick. I don't necessarily think they do that. I think they have a big need at corner. And I think you see Quinyon Mitchell here on the board and you take him as fast as you can. So that is going to be my pick here for the Jaguars. I've seen some people have Mitchell as their first corner off the board in some of these mocks. And he's, it's pretty impressive for somebody coming out of Toledo, I will say. But yeah, I think the Jaguars shore up the corner spot here and add to that secondary with the guy that can come in and play right away.
Love that. They did lose Darius Williams to the Rams, so that's something to keep in mind there too. I like it. 18. Cincinnati, right? So we're up to Cincinnati.
Yes.
All right. The Bengals. Well. There's options here. It says their needs are DT, receiver, tackle, corner, guard. I think you got to protect Joe Burrow more. You just lost Jonah Williams. I'm going line here, but I'm not going with the lineman you might think they go with here. I'm taking Georgia tackle Amarius Mims. I think they need a baller. I did not expect Fatanu to still be on the board, but I don't want to pivot here. I want to stick to my plan. I love Amarius Mims. I mean, he'll be the second Bulldog off the board here in Fonz. I'm sorry, I think I might have took your guy, but
yeah,
I'm gonna click the draft button on Amarius Mims here. He's really good. He's tall. I got to see him live in person. Protecting Carson Beck, my prediction for next year's Heisman. Little spoiler alert. Yeah, he's phenomenal. Good technique. Mammoth. Fonz, any thoughts on that? Any retort?
Well, Tom, I'm a big Amarius Mims fan. Also, I think he's really good. I like him a lot too. Great pick. The Bengals. I think for the past 3 seasons we've said they need to protect Joe Burrow. They still win, but it's concerns now with Burrow. You don't want him to get hurt. You don't want him to miss time. They need to start protecting him and start building an offensive line again. Since he's been saying that for 3 years now, I think they finally do it. And Mims is a good start to get that going.
See your boy Snow in the chat.
I had it on my Ravens part, with the number 10 one. I'm like, maybe. I'm like, what if the people forget about him? But I knew he wasn't going to be taken there. I know he wasn't going to fall to 30. It was a good pick though, Tom. I don't want to see it as a Ravens fan, but as an NFL fan, it's good for them. It's good. Leave it the way it is.
19.
But that is me.
You have the Rams, and
so
this might be their first round pick since 2016. Sorry, I didn't cut you off.
No, but that's
been a while.
It's been quite some time. So the reason why I did this, Tom, because Mims was actually my second choice for the Rams at this point. My first one, actually, I believe it was Walt that mentioned him previously. Want to scroll up? I forgot who it was. It was the
Byron
Saints.
Murphy.
Yeah, that was. I said I'm like, if they're I was thinking Donald retired, might want to replace him there. And then he was gone. I'm like, God, bastard, Walt. As per usual, he ruins my night. And then Tom, unusual, he ruined my night here in my second pick. But Fatanu fell here for the Rams. My second choice was an offensive tackle because Sean McVay, offensive guy, he's not going to miss out on an offensive side of the ball for his first pick in a couple of seasons. They need to start building back up that offensive line. They have some good skill sets. They have some good receivers and running backs. You could make a case for maybe a quarterback. I don't know if you do your first pick since 2016 on a quarterback at 19 when you have some other needs, and you could build up the defense. But I think at 19, if they stay here, because there's a good chance they'll probably move back also. I think Fatanu here, if he fell to them at 19, this is perfect. West Coast guy, so it's perfect. And I think it helps with that offensive line, kind of build for the future. I think you're muted, Tom. I just realized that. So I'm going to play some elevator music while we're... Nope, Tom's back. Never mind.
I mean, I give you permission to use the soundboard if you want. That was pretty bad on my part. But Fatanu, Washington, 5th O-lineman off the board.
Yeah, it's like if he fell at 9. I didn't even have him for the Rams at 19 because I didn't think he'd fall at 19. So that's why, you know what? This is what the mock draft. You never know what happens in an NFL draft.
I believe we had a comment before about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Andy, you're up with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Robert Carter, if you're still watching, now's your time.
I gotta say, this one is pretty tough. It's been probably the toughest one for me to kind of figure out. You look at the Steelers. Especially if the draft were to fall this way. Look at the top of the board. What are two of their biggest needs? It's offensive line, and I would argue receiver. You got Brian Thomas Jr. staring you in the face. Do you take him at 20, or do you trust that you can get a similar caliber starting receiver? Because that's what they need. Later and shore up the offensive line. I mean, I love JC Latham here. They also they need a center really bad. Graham Barton from Duke is another name to watch. I'm really struggling with this one, boys. I feel like it's not like the Steelers to take a receiver in the first round, right? They're a team that feels like they build through, the trenches. I'm going to go JC Latham. We're going to take JC Latham.
Bastard again. Next, he took one of mine.
There's the run.
You always get that in the draft, too. You get the run of one position for 5 picks in a row, or people are just being desperate to go, oh, no, like with the last year with the receivers, where it was just receiver.
Yeah. I like the pick. I also had Lyman for Pittsburgh. I went with a different guy, Jackson Powers Johnson, but I think Latham is an awesome pick here. Surprised he fell this far, but
yeah,
he did, and he's here. Well done, Andy. A plus. Shout out. All right, 21.
The Miami Dolphins.
Walt, you're on the clock.
Big Dolphins fan, Walt.
Yeah, huge. So this Dolphins team lost a ton this offseason. I mean, we kind of knew it was happening with free agents like Christian Wilkins, Robbie Hunt. They've taken a lot of damage to the trenches. I look at the interior of this offensive line. I think it's one of the worst in football. I think their center position is, again, amongst the worst in football. I think if they're going to try and find a way to establish a run game, get some of their, speed, this is the fastest team in the NFL. They need offensive linemen or they're going to get hurt. So I think the need right now is on the interior, specifically at center. So I think Miami plays it safe here with one of my favorite high floor guys in this class, Jackson Powers Johnson. I think he's the best center and who they take at that spot.
Wow. Yeah, I could see it.
Not the sexiest picks, but their line sucks right now.
Their line has been a problem for years, I feel like, and I think that would be a really good pick. I think for the Dolphins here. Oregon they have a fast offense. Miami has a fast offense. It's a good transition, so I think that's perfect. I like that a lot, Walt.
Yep, had former Notre Dame tackle Liam Eichenberg playing some center last year.
That's right.
Big problem.
Bad.
Big problem. He's not a center. The Eagles are up.
Oh, is this Tom? You have another rival?
No, that's me. I have Fly.
Oh, you have the Eagles. That's it.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
Thank God you're not an Eagles fan.
If
I heard that out of your mouth, I would.
You could go a number of ways. I noticed with the Eagles when they draft, they kind of draft players in the first couple rounds and don't play them fully right away. I think it was, Landon Dickerson a few years ago would it be the center drafted? Jason Kelsey was still there. They really moved him to the guard spot after a couple of seasons. They could go offensive line here if they want to kind of develop, because I'm thinking because Lane Johnson's not getting any younger, right? I'm thinking that. But also they need help with the corner spot. I didn't think any of these corners would still be available at this spot. Ooh, or you can go an edge rusher. I have a couple options here because they lost Hassan Reddick. The Eagles are in a weird spot where it's not a huge need, but they can get an extra guy here or there. I'm gonna go with Chop Robinson, edge rusher for Penn State. I think that's a good. I think they need help with the edge rusher. Replace Hassan Reddick. Again, they can go a number of ways. They can get a replacement for Lane Johnson down the line. They can get a corner to take over for Bradbury or Slay because they're getting older. But Chop Robinson can help right away because they lost Hassan Reddick.
Good pick. Pennsylvania guy.
Yeah, listen, it works too. Sometimes they draft players from the college in the area, and it works. Shout out Saquon.
Yeah. Yep. Thanks for that.
Sorry.
I hold no bad blood towards the guy. He made the right business decision. Look, Howie has never drafted any position outside of O-line, D-line, quarterback, or receiver in the first round. Chop technically gets labeled as an edge, so he's kind of like a combo lineman / linebacker. So I don't know where he would classify here, but I believe the Eagles took Nolan Smith last year. I don't remember if that was in the first round or not, though. Maybe one of you guys remember.
Wait, might have been early second round or something, or second round.
Someone wants to pull that up. Nolan Smith, Eagles from last year.
It was a high draft pick. It was a high draft pick.
But that's a good pick. I hate to admit it, but Chop Robinson to the Philadelphia Eagles.
Also, best name, by the way. If we're doing just the name alone, he'd be number one pick in my
Great
opinion.
name.
You mentioned Lane Johnson getting older. Brandon Graham is getting older too. So
I forgot he was on the roster. Like I just completely because I was thinking of like replacing Hassan Reddick. Now you got to also think about eventually replacing Brandon Graham. Wow, yeah.
It was a nightmare. But the Minnesota Vikings are on the clock. I'll be honest, in my personal mock, I had Latu falling here because of the injury history and the medical retirement. I had him falling to 23. He is not here. The Vikings need a replacement for Danielle Hunter, but I might have to think about this one for a moment, gents, because Fonz took my backup option. So that's a little payback there on me. No, that's all good. That's part of the game, right?
It's mock draft season.
Guard, yeah. Look, Garrett Bradbury is a decent center. Graham Barton, a lot of people are saying he'll play center at the next level. Johnny Newton's right there. I think you got to build from within. Out. Nate Wiggins is there too. They could use a corner. This is tough. Who do I value higher? And what can I do to screw over whoever's picking next? You know what? I'm going to roll with this is a passing league. I'm thinking in that division now. I mean, you got teams like the Lions and the Packers that are much improved. The Bears are going to have Caleb Williams. You have to find ways to get to the quarterback. Johnny Newton up the middle, I think, is a good pick here. You have Harrison Phillips, but he's getting a little bit older, and he's not signed long-term. So I think Johnny Newton out of Illinois. Andy, I'll turn the floor to you here. Do you think that Johnny Newton is worthy of a first-round pick and this high at 23?
Guy, he's unbelievable. Seeing this guy in person and just watch any Illinois game back, watch any tape on him. He fucking dominated every game until, there was a couple games where teams are throwing 2-3 guys at him to stop him. You can say he's a little bit undersized. I'm telling you, watch the goddamn tape and you will be impressed. He did injure his foot in the middle of last year, played through it, did not participate at the combine or Illinois' first pro day. Illinois actually had a pro day. It was either today or yesterday, a second one, which he was able to go through all of the drills in. So a little banged up, which I believe has hurt his draft stock, but 100%, I believe he is worthy of a first-round draft pick. He's an All-American, All-Big Ten, just unbelievable college career. I think he's the best defensive tackle in the draft. I think he's better than Murphy, but I'm very, very, very biased.
Are you? Just a little bit.
Unbiased friends, what do you think of Andy's comments before we get to 24?
No, I like Johnny Newton. Johnny Newton, he's a beast tackle. I think it'd be a good spot for the Vikings. They kind of need help on the defensive line. I think that's a good spot for him. It definitely could make a difference for that D line. So, and especially like you said against the division, because I factor that into when you're playing like your division for majority of the season.
Yeah,
that's going to help out a lot.
I will be so pissed if he goes to a fucking team in the NFC.
They're the
North.
last team you want to see him.
Yeah, I know.
Andy, you're up.
It's
Dallas.
It's me. It's the Cowboys. Who, by the way, is the Cowboys offseason like the most underwhelming offseason of all time? They have signed nobody. They have made
had no flexibility.
no moves. They can't do anything. It's insane.
They got to pay, and they now eventually thinking of paying CD Lamb and for whatnot too.
That
So-
Zeke contract.
They could go a couple ways here. I mean, do you go receiver and try to pair somebody big with CD Lamb? I mean, you look at a guy, I mean, especially if the board falls this way, Brian Thomas still on the board at 24, I think might be hard for Jerry to ignore. But also, you could argue they have a bigger need on the offensive line, right? So do you go with a guy like Barton here? Do you go with a Guyton from Oklahoma? Or there's Adonai Mitchell, Xavier Worthy. Do they take a Texas receiver and keep him in the state? I'm going to go Brian Thomas here because I think Jerry makes a splash with this pick. A lot of people are projecting that they go for the offensive line here. I think Jerry's got something up his sleeve. I think he goes, especially if Thomas Jr. is still available, he takes him. If not, I think Mitchell or Worthy are the next in line.
He did that a few years ago, I think. Remember when CD Lamb was on the board and they didn't necessarily need a receiver at the time? Turned out well for them, but at the time we were like, oh, like CD Lamb's great, but like the Cowboys didn't need a receiver. They had other needs. So it wouldn't shock me to do something like that. I like Thomas a lot too. He's a good receiver. That'd be good for the Cowboys, but they kind of want to have like another receiver there because if they can't pay CD, they'll have Thomas on a rookie deal for the next couple of seasons if he becomes their number one.
Be a hell of a duo if they're together.
Yeah, yeah. All to win.
This is a Jerry Jones
Not a
pick
playoff
too.
game. 100%.
That's kind of how I was operating with this one.
Yep. And Fonzie brought up a good point. They had Amari Cooper back when they took CD Lamb. Remember
That's what
this
it was. That's
offseason?
what it was. Yeah.
Dallas lost Michael Gallup. However, they did lose Tyron Smith and Tyler Baida as their center. So I think Graham Barton also worthy of some consideration. But Brian Thomas Jr. can't argue with that.
He likes the flashy guys. You know what I mean? Like they like in the first round sometimes. So he'll do that.
25. Walt, back to you. By the way, congrats to your Red Sox on the victory tonight. Well done. Good pitching performance.
Mets one, no one cares.
Fucking Tyler O'Neill.
Let's go, baby. So here at number 25, Green Bay could go a bunch of different routes. I don't think they're sold on their second corner spot, and this is a really good spot to take a corner. I mean, I was thinking tackle, but a lot of tackles have been taken to where this board falls. So, man, when I'm giving Wiggins, McKinstry, or DeJean, I mean, you're in a really tough spot. I mean, I think they have their number one guy already locked in stone. DeJean's a guy you can line up all over the field. They could use some help at that safety spot next to.
It makes so much sense.
I think Green Bay would be perfect for him. Again, it's just like he may not have the most upside, but he's a guy who can cover you line him up anywhere you want defensively. And I think that's what's going to be valued a lot in Green Bay, especially on a board where, I mean, I think Guyton's pretty good, but I don't think he's good enough to prevent you from taking someone in the secondary.
Cooper DeJean.
So
right.
Cooper DeJean at 25?
Yeah.
That makes so much sense that, I mean, he will get drafted there and I will hate him for eternity. It'll just be like, somehow it'll be amazing. If you want to have a good time, I will say, look up Cooper DeJean high school basketball highlights. Pretty good. He's a fucking freak athlete from the middle of nowhere in Iowa, doing like between the legs dunks in high school. In game, I swear to God.
And like he's such you can plug him all over the defensive side, like anywhere, and it would work. Which is some of the power I think that would be perfect to have. That's a perfect fit.
Yeah. Cooper, really good, versatile athlete. Although I have him as a corner. I know they're trying to tab him as a safety. He deserves to play corner. He's that good. Ask Andy Hopper. that Big Ten West is freaking brutal.
Stuff.
And it's coming to the pros. You'll see that Big Ten West offense in the NFC North this year if this style of drafting keeps up.
When was the last time a white cornerback got drafted in the first round? Has that ever happened? Are we making history here, boys?
I don't know, but
and he's actually really damn.
Yeah. Like
it would fit in perfectly in the middle of nowhere of Green Bay. It'll feel just like he's home.
I know.
He's gonna be a Pro Bowler.
We had Jason Sehorn for a
better
while.
than Alexander.
We had Sehorn from 94 to 02, who, by the way, had a pick six against the Eagles in a playoff game. I'll throw that out there.
Love that.
Tampa Bay.
So I'm up. There's a lot of guys I have on this list that are still available. The Bucks won division last year, but they still went 7-9. They had some issues. He's saying the corner spot. They can upgrade the corners here. You still have Wiggins and McKinstry. You also can upgrade the offensive line, particularly in the interior and the center spot, or even in just overall. You can get Barton here also, or Guyton if you want to go outside with Tristan Wirfs on the opposite end. Ooh, there's a lot of good options. That's like the team needs, I would say, right there for the Bucks. All the needs there, they're still perfect on the board. Barton can play all over the offensive line. I think they need help on all over the offensive line too. The at the tackle spot. Ooh, Tom, this is hard because all these guys, like every other pick, like everyone was out for me. This is the first time where everybody's available for me, so I have no idea. I'm gonna go. I think they need help on the offensive line still. They're gonna have Baker as their guy. They want to protect him. They want to build that offensive line more. A lot of their guys left in free agency or they're getting older. I'm going to go with Graham Barton. You can plug him in anywhere on the offensive line.
Outstanding pick.
But, like, honestly, even Wiggins and Kool-Aid here, you can go there also. Like, they're in a good spot if all these guys fall to them.
The funny thing is he's exactly what Arizona needs, and you just, like, completely screwed them. I don't have Arizona's pick, but that is – in most mocks that I do – he doesn't go past Arizona, so I don't disagree. I think he's definitely a late first round pick.
You can put him anywhere on that line to be really good. I think their center retired too, just recently. You can put him on there.
Graham Barton, Duke. All right, so I'm up with the Cardinals. Let's see who I had on my personal mock. I had Cooper DeJean. So their needs: receiver, which we took, DT, corner, guard, edge. Yeah. Nate Wiggins, Clemson, corner.
It's available. It's a good pick.
He fell. That's right. I think he goes in the high 20s. In fact, I do think I'm worried the Eagles will get him. But I know Kool-Aid might fit their system a little bit more. Nate Wiggins at 27. I think that's a pretty good pick. Corner out of Clemson. Gave Sam Hartman fits this season, and it got me really, really mad. That game ultimately kicked us out of any college football playoff consideration. Nate Wiggins at number 27. I can't even name a corner on Arizona's roster.
They still have not Byron Murphy.
No, he went to Minnesota.
That was his name, right?
Yeah.
Is Patrick
Who
Peterson
plays
still there?
corner? No. Who plays corner for the Arizona Cardinals?
It's a great
Couldn't tell you.
It's a great game to play, Tom. Name that
It's
corner.
probably two guys were like, wait, they're still in the league?
Yeah.
That's really what I felt with Patrick Peterson.
Before we move on, who the heck did they have? I have to look this up.
I'm looking it up. Arizona Cardinals.
Garrett Williams and Sean Murphy Bunting.
The Bucks.
Okay.
Garrett Williams was a second-round pick last year, I think, out of Syracuse.
And Murphy Bunting was from the Bucks, right?
Right.
That was the Bucks corner
you
last year.
Can never have enough corners. I still think corner's a need. It's not the number one need, but it's definitely a need. Remember, this is their second pick of the first round.
But look who they're going up against in the division also. You're going to need all the corners you can get.
Receivers. Metcalf, Smith and Jigba, Lockett,
Mm-hmm.
Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to be there, but even like Ayuk and Debo.
Debo.
I know, yeah, but Ayuk's going to be a Raven. That's a whole other day. But I just want to tell Walt that. I don't think he heard me.
I'm not. I don't listen to you when you talk.
28. Walt's second favorite team after the Miami Dolphins, the
Oh,
Buffalo Bills.
Did you give him all the AFC East rivals?
No, I didn't. I didn't have the Jets, even though
I had the
you
Jets.
took who I would have taken for the Jets. So I'm being fair to these guys. Buffalo's needs are obvious. They traded Stephon Diggs. They lost Gabe Davis to free agency. Really good position here to get a wide receiver. I mean, when you look at the three options here with the three names who I think are the top receivers that remain on my board, you have Mitchell, Worthy, and Coleman. Worthy's a guy who I love his speed, but I feel like in Buffalo isn't going to last once he gets freezing cold. I think he's a guy that relies a lot on his speed, let alone he's not the biggest receiver. Coleman's a physical receiver, but I think the complete package of the three of them is Adonai Mitchell. I mean, when you want to get the guy who has the potential to be a number one wide receiver, he has good size, great quickness to get past press coverage guys. I think he makes a lot of sense with this pick. I think he has the upside to be a number one receiver and someone that Josh Allen will target a ton in his first and multiple seasons when with the Buffalo Bills.
I love that pick.
That's a good pick.
I love that pick.
Really good.
And he's 6'4".
Josh
Yeah,
Allen
he's
is
6'4".
gonna
He's quick.
love him.
Cost controlled contract too. Brandon Beane has to make this move. Especially if DeJean is not there. I think DeJean is an option too, but he doesn't. If he does play safety in the NFL, that's not a premium position, right? So this is an excellent pick, Walt. I can't argue with this at all. Adonai Mitchell, well done. 29. Andy, your NFC North rival. Your NFC North team that you don't necessarily despise.
I don't.
as much.
It's tough to
Man.
despise a team that's just as bad as your team, if not worse,
Man
for
Gamble.
ages. And Man Campbell's such a likable guy. I like Jared Goff. Like, I think it's cool that, he worked out, as actually a good quality starting quarterback. For me, for Detroit, what I think they need is another corner to pair with Cam Sutton, and they've got one right on top of the board there. This is who when I went through this, I wrote down Kool-Aid McKinstry at 29, and he's there, so I'm going to take him. Kool-Aid McKinstry, one of the best names in the draft, cornerback from Alabama to shore up that Detroit secondary.
It's gonna be a good
Team
he's gonna be a
Peel
good corner.
would be proud of you.
Yeah. Really good corner. Him and Arnold at Alabama. That's gonna be really good for he'll fit with Detroit perfectly. Good physical corner. I think they needed that there opposite of Cam Sutton. That's perfect.
I feel like they've needed secondary every year.
Yeah.
They go into the draft. It's like they could use another corner. They could use another
But
corner.
then they get Jameer Gibbs, which actually worked out. But like they have the need a corner every year, and they just go, oh no, running back, no receiver, nope.
I also think they could sneakily maybe take a receiver here if they
could. They really
like an Xavier Worthy, add him with St. Brown, and then you assume Jameson Williams takes a bigger role.
We hope, and we say
I would take Coleman if I was Detroit.
Coleman would be really good there too.
Because they have like the speed inside outside guy.
Sure.
Then the slot. Get someone who's more physical on the
Just
outside.
you
already have
body.
Laporta,
Sure.
who's a good red zone threat.
Sure. Fonz, I'm so excited to hear what your Ravens are going to do.
Yeah, I
with the
can't
30th
wait
pick.
to hear your analysis. I've been waiting all day.
Well, here's the thing: is a problem because Kool-Aid was actually my pick for the Ravens if he fell
Good.
down at this point because they needed it. The Ravens are in an interesting spot where it's not a dying need, but they're good in all fronts here, but they can use some help here and there too. Obviously not quarterback because they have my MVP, two-time MVP, Lamar
do
Jackson.
they?
So no Michael Penix here.
There's not a need.
But this corner I was going to go, but at this point, with all those guys gone, because I was going to go either Nate Wiggins or Kool-Aid, but they're both gone. So now I don't think there's a corner at this point that I would take at 30, especially. I mean, you could. I wouldn't do TJ. I wouldn't do that. No, I would wait till the second round for that. I think they really need help on the offensive line, and the fact that he's still there and Tyler Guyton from Oklahoma. I don't trust Ronnie Stanley anymore because he gets injured on and off every other play, it feels like. And they need help in the defense. What is I'm sorry, Tom. I know he's Notre Dame guy, but Ronnie Stanley, I know, all pro, former all pro and Pro Bowler, but the dude gets injured like every other week. And I just think we need help on the offensive line. So Tyler Guyton, big tackle spot here, can play either the left or the right spot, depending on what you want to do here. But I think Guyton here, boost up the offensive line, protect Lamar, give a good spot for Derrick Henry. You could go corner here. They need help there and an edge rusher, but at this point, I would wait till the second round for that, especially if this plays it out like this.
Good pick.
Go Ravens.
Premium position.
Oh, yeah. Love good tackle play.
You guys are very excited for Fonz to make his pick.
Yeah,
any,
really. Thanks, guys.
Any comments from the peanut gallery here?
Thanks, guys.
I mean, it makes
It makes
sense.
It's great.
Yeah. Why not? More protection for your boy.
Those O-line picks are boring. They're boring, but they're
Yeah,
good.
it's I know, but it's not the sexy pick. But there was also talks they could get a wide receiver like an Xavier Worthy or Keon Coleman,
Right.
which I would like. But
They take receivers every damn year.
But like I know, but I'm saying the Rashad Bateman 3 years ago, Zay Flowers last year. Zay Flowers GOAT, number one receiver, future Pro Bowler. Rashad Bateman, I still have hope in him because remember Tom how excited I was when they drafted him.
He's a Pro Bowler when everyone declines their invite.
Yeah, I have
like Matt Jones.
Listen, but like I don't know if I want to take another wide receiver for 3 wide receivers in 4 seasons. I don't know yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if they go for a Keon Coleman if he falls here. But I think the safest non-sexy pick, offensive tackle.
31. We're almost there. We're almost home. Andy Hopper.
It's
You're
me.
up. Oh,
No, it's not me.
I'm sorry. The A's confused me. Walt, please forgive me. You're up.
You good? See, I
I don't know if I can forgive you.
I feel like in this, San Francisco's almost dying for best tackle to fall to them, and in our case, everyone round one tackle's now gone.
Mm-hmm.
What's the deal with Ayuk? Because I
He's
see
going
his
to Baltimore.
replacement at 32 right there.
What's the deal with it?
I think. Out goes Ayuk, in goes Worthy. You just replaced him with the fastest receiver in this draft.
I'm in on that.
That'd be so unfair.
I don't think Ayuk stays long term, and I think you find his replacement and step in day one. One of the fastest offenses in the league. I think he is a great fit for San Francisco.
Fuck yeah.
Xavier Worthy.
It's such a good. That's perfect if you fall. It'd be so.
Man, every
unfair.
time I say my pick, if you're like, man, it's a perfect pick.
Because
you should be a GM.
I should be a GM. What am I doing on NASCAR?
No,
ratings?
I like the Worthy pick. That's perfect.
Well, you
I'll
screwed
trade you-
Kansas
I'll trade
City
you the-
over.
I'll trade you the 30th pick, Walt, for
I
Brandon
did.
Ayuk.
I didn't screw Kansas City over. Sorry, I'm not listening
I
to
don't
fans.
know.
I don't care what you They don't
I
need
think you-
speed at receiver. Yeah, then they pick up Brown.
I am
It's not my
speed.
pick, but
Listen, I wouldn't trust Hollywood Brown. Come on, Walt. You know better than
dude,
that.
could you imagine Keon Coleman with? It's not my pick, but with Mahomes,
It'd be unfair. Literally would not.
they don't
be.
need another mini speedster. They got 1,000 of them. Get
They have-
someone 6'4".
They have Sky Moore and
Oh.
Yeah,
we
they
just
got
said
a million of the same.
Sky
guys.
Moore stinks.
It's got-
Marquise Brown. Who's the other
Nico
guy?
Hardman.
Not.
Where's
not,
he now?
He was a Jet for like 3
Is
games.
he a free agent or is he
Joker. I'm always hurt. I don't play. Healthy scratch in the
I
Super
thought, did
Bowl.
he sign somewhere?
Kadarius Toney.
Two-time Super Bowl champion and record for
Well,
longest
Everywhere
Marcus
punt
receiver
return.
they have like 6'1" or shorter, other than
Is-
obviously Kelsey's a tight
Screw
end.
you,
Isn't
Fox.
Rasheed Rice
Screw
like?
you.
Isn't Rasheed Rice a small
He's
receiver?
gonna
too?
get suspended.
Well, yeah, it's a whole other. The dude likes to drive fast.
Kadarius Toney. We still have
Long
the
record
reaction.
for
Don't
longest
draft him, Raiders.
record for longest punt
yeah,
return ever with 68 yards. Tom,
Watch him in there.
That was
Vegas.
Andy's exact laugh as the pick was made too.
I still don't understand that. I never had that. I never understood.
Don't
that.
draft it.
Dave Gettleman.
God damn it.
David
Gotta
Football
love
Gettleman.
Oh gosh.
fuck, that
Yeah,
got me.
look, 32. I almost want to say screw them and
Michael Penix.
take like Christian
Michael
Haynes
Penix.
or Michael.
Yeah.
Actually, Christian Haynes might not be the worst pick, but
Actually-
here, look, their receivers sucked last year. It was a down year for them, and they still won the big game. You need to add a big-bodied playmaking receiver so that Mahomes and the Chiefs can have a better regular season, right? Because you're looking at other teams around in the AFC are drafting wide receivers. The Bills get Adonai Mitchell, right? Your team you beat in the
Chargers.
Super Bowl took Xavier Worthy. The
Chargers
Chargers
took one too
went ahead and
in our
took
draft.
Malik Neighbors. So here, I think Keon Coleman is the pick out of Florida State. And our mock draft is complete. We'll take a look at the full results, but I believe he's 6'4".
Big receiver.
He was like absolutely phenomenal
He's huge
this year for Florida State.
I think Coleman's better than Worthy. The only reason I didn't take him a pick before is I think Worthy is made for that offense.
He fits better in San Fran.
That's if it was any other team, maybe the Dolphins, and the Dolphins don't need a receiver. I would have taken Key. I think it's a steal for Kansas City at the end of the draft. Because you look at the teams after Kansas City in the second round, they're all going to want him. So he'll be stealing them from a lot of teams in the first round if that's their pick.
You guys better get a good look at this now. This is exactly what's going to happen on the 25th.
Yeah, there's going to be no trades at all.
Yeah.
No, you could, honestly,
we get to 30 and the Ravens trade out and fuck it up. And we just
why'd you pick my team out of all teams? You just said the Lions or something. But we could see the Lions maybe trading back, even the Cardinals at 27. Like they could see some teams if they want to trade back in to get a Michael Penix if they want to. Or
let's predict this. Who's the first team to trade up, and who do they trade with?
I think the
Vikings.
The Vikings would probably trade up at.
I think it's with Atlanta.
You think it? Okay.
Because Atlanta can get who they want at 11. Because they're not taking someone offensively. Unless the Bears take the edge rusher they want.
Do you think
but I think the Bears could also trade out.
The Vikings, to play it safe, you might want to leapfrog the Giants.
I was going to say, what if you trade up to
the Giants?
What if you trade up to 4, the Vikings? I'm just like, if you want JJ McCarthy that badly.
I don't see Arizona getting any reason to lose out on one of the best receiver prospects.
Unless they get a huge draft haul for it.
When I look at 1 through 7, I don't see any reason for them unless they get a huge offer to leave their current draft position.
That makes sense. Yeah,
All of them are filling a massive need on their roster.
No, but I'm
Maybe
saying
LA could be different because they have so much money invested in the QB they're keeping long term that we want to fill other pieces. But like we mentioned before, why trade out when you have no one to throw the ball to? You're not going into free agency to sign someone who hasn't been like.
That's what I'm saying. The Cardinals don't have a complete roster.
I don't understand why the Chargers didn't make a move earlier than free agency.
So I think the point that these guys are trying to make, Walt, and maybe I'm wrong, but teams can trade up. Well, once you get past the Giants at 6, yes, you're pretty safe on paper, but I'm just worried about a team like Denver or Vegas behind them saying, yeah, you think you're good at 11? Look what happened to the Giants in 2021. They thought Devontae Smith was going to fall into their lap. I mean, I almost yelled at the Eagles fan that logged on Andy's show. I mean, it was a terrible introduction for me. I'm like, yeah, nice to meet you. By the way, screw you.
Tom was so pissed.
I was pissed, but
oh man,
what do you think of New England possibly trading back? Do you think that's possible at all, or no?
They're going to need to get a massive return because, I mean, they're going to have to trade with someone outside of the top 10.
Right.
Well, just a question, like legit asking this. What if the Patriots wanted to go Marvin Harrison Jr. and they wait for a QB, say in the second round, or trade back up early in the second round? Just like
I'm fine with that, but they can't trade the pick.
I mean, they'll say they get Marvin Harrison at 3, right? And then the second round rolls around, they'll trade back up to get a QB in the second round.
I don't mind that strategy because the Patriots don't have a number 1 wide receiver.
That's what I'm saying.
Like
you can work with anybody, I feel like.
I think Drake May is going to be really good, but I'm worried whoever comes to New England is just going to not be good and put in a great position to be successful.
Juju Smith.
Like you want to value a young QB during their cheap years on a rookie contract. Say Drake May's solid and signs for double what he's worth when the Patriots are finally good, or they hit a couple drafts. Let's see what happens. But
no, you're right. I was just
I
asking,
have no problem with them taking Marvin Harrison Jr. because just like in our mock draft right here, they have the second pick in the second round.
Yeah. So they can take
a Penix or a Nix right there, even though I don't really love either of them. I think Penix more than Nix, but
what if they did?
I'm perfectly fine with Drake May as their starting quarterback.
Or if they did like Marvin Harrison 3, Michael Penix second round. You're saying would you be?
Yeah, I think that's great because as you can see here in a lot of these drafts, who are they going to take at receiver right now? Leggett?
I don't even know. That's who's left. I'm not who left, but who's the next best available?
McCockney?
I think it's him.
McCockney? What his name?
McCockney.
Name is? Lad?
The guy from Georgia, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Lad
the
McConkey.
thing is, they also need a tackle. The blind side of the quarterback, unless it's Penix because he's a lefty, when you have Onwenu playing right tackle, they don't have a starting left tackle right now. So, I think if I'm the Patriots with 2 picks later, I'm taking a tackle before I take a receiver. With this board specifically, but they have a lot of needs to fill, regardless of who they get at the quarterback position.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not opposed to taking Harrison. I think it would be chaos if they did take him because then you'd see 3 or 4 teams looking to trade up with 2 quarterbacks available after 3, except for 1. So I'll do it. I don't think the Patriots are in a great position or the team that could make it work based on their situation, but I think quarterback is where they have to go and where I think they will go with number 3.
Right.
I think the
too. Sorry, Andy, go ahead. Oh, you go.
I mean, I think Harrison at 3 and you take Penix if he's there at the second pick of the second round. That's not bad.
He's going to die in New England.
Yeah, but you're right. It's just you take May at 3 and he's set up to fail. It reminds me of, Fields a little bit in Chicago. He's just coming into just a terrible situation with no semblance of trying to help the dude at all.
So let the Vikings get May, and then New England trades back. There's not so much pressure on Gerard Mayo and company in year 1.
But then they don't get a number 1 receiver.
They don't get the Marvin Harrison. That's why I was saying at 3. What if they just do Marvin Harrison at 3, Michael Penix, or a quarterback in round 2 or whatever?
If they don't get a number 1 receiver. Okay, maybe they could go to 11 and take Fashanu, and there goes their concern at left tackle. And then they'd also have 23. Let's look at our board here and take, Brian Thomas. There you go. Then you take Penix in the second round.
We're figuring it out.
Yeah, that could work.
We're building the New England Patriots.
I just don't.
GM
Pats don't technically have a general
is
manager.
In the lab.
Yeah, I'm making moves.
Who's the QB for the Pats now?
Jacoby Brissett.
He's back on the Pats?
Because he was Van Pelt's backup when he was with Cleveland.
Jacoby Barbecue.
They're going to want to run the football 95% of the time.
That's also what it is too. Crazy. This is the downfall of the running back. No running backs were even considered in the first round.
Not even
9
close.
offensive linemen.
Last year we had
7
Bijan
receivers.
Robinson. Last year we had Bijan Robinson. And the shocker.
We also don't have someone as good as Bijan.
That's what I'm saying. No, that's what I'm saying. It's just this is the year, where the tackle class is great. Quarterback class is pretty solid, but this is the year of the offensive tackles and edge rushers too.
Absolutely.
I think another pick to keep your eye on is the Bears at 9, because there's so many, people are throwing out that they could move back. They're throwing out that they could move up to try to take Harrison or Neighbors. I've seen both of that. I've seen them move up to take a Dunze. I've seen a Dunze fall to them at 9. I've seen them trade back. I think that'll be really interesting to see because, like we mentioned earlier, they have 4 picks in the draft. Like they don't have a ton of draft capital. So what does Ryan Poles want to do? I mean,
Trade
me
back.
personally, I'd like to keep 2 top 10 picks, but I also see the argument for moving back and acquiring more assets. I see the argument for moving up too. I don't know.
If I'm Chicago, I would obviously QB1 at 9. You get like someone on the defense, an edge rusher too. I would say, why don't you keep the 2 on the top 10? Look what the Texans did last year. TJ Stroud and Will Anderson.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I've heard the Bears are trying to do something similar to that.
And look how it worked out for them. So they can do something like that too.
Move up and get like Malik Neighbors.
I can see
they'd move up and get somebody that they could have got at 9.
Or move up for like Guaga.
Yeah. They'd move up and take fucking JC Latham or something when they could have got him at fucking 15.
Bulls would be like, what a steal. Now we're out of picks.
The Rams haven't had a first round pick in years, so they probably have no idea how to draft in the first round. So they get too nervous and just trade it out of the first round. Those get too nervous about it.
My prediction for draft day is the Rams find a way to draft Ladd McConkey because he has fucking Sean McVay written all over him.
They can trade. They'll either get him at 19, or they don't even need a wide receiver, but they'll trade.
Should go.
I don't think the Rams have that many picks. I could see. I'm not saying to get him in
Stafford.
I'm not saying in the first round, but I think the Rams should. I'm saying the Rams should consider drafting a QB in. They did it last year, Stetson Bennett, and that's not gonna play. But I'm saying they should do it in rounds 2 or 3.
Poor man's Mac Jones. What a compliment.
Maybe Penix falls to 23 to Minnesota. I don't know.
I mean, would they already take McCarthy?
I mean, I'm just saying if they don't.
Well,
right?
Also 11, they could easily go edge.
Let's say the Raiders trade up and get McCarthy, right? Because they're at 13.
And the Vikings at 11.
We know they like him.
Vikings will get a pass rush at 11. 23, they wait.
Possibly.
They get a Bo Nix or Penix.
Don't forget about Spencer Rattler, boys.
Yeah, Spencer Rattler, number 1.
He's probably still reading that 2022 article.
I'm hearing rumblings.
South Carolina.
I'm hearing rumblings.
So bad.
Could have been me.
Funny.
But yeah, no, guys, this has been awesome. We could sit here and talk about this all night long, but I all know we got to get back to the grind. Walt, Fonz, Andy, thank you all so much for joining. But before we go, why don't all 3 of you please plug your work? Walt, we'll start with you, then go to Andy and Fonz.
So you can find me. I've taken a huge break from the podcast world. I need to get my act together, but you can find me on YouTube at Down the Block Sports. I'm hoping to do something with the draft next week with the New England Patriots. So hopefully this can be my way to get a little bit more consistent with videos. I've had to take a step back with other work requirements, but again, I'm on YouTube. You can find me Down the Block Sports as well on Instagram.
I like Alt have also taken a very large step back from my podcast, but it is still up. There's still tons of videos you can check out. Looking to get back. It's always tough for me with chasing my kids around and all that kind of shit I have going on. But the Brew Party on YouTube, check us out, youtube.com/the Brew Party. And we're on all social media at the Brew Party, besides Facebook at the Brew Party Podcast. And then show I always love doing with Tom and our friend Brian McCardle from the Stands College Football. That'll be coming back here in the fall. I know that's out of season, but I always like to plug that when I can. But yeah, that's where you can find me.
And you can find me, first thing here, review and preview. I do Four Corners with Mike DeSanto, Albert Donor every Monday. We're taking some time off because it's post-WrestleMania, so we'll be back in mid-May. Around that time, if you follow review and preview, you'll find out when we get back on track. You can also follow my regular podcast, the Slick Back Kickback Report, We have a new episode coming this week, talking some NBA playoffs and whatnot too. Always good stuff, weekly episodes. And I have a side YouTube channel called Fonz Talks Jerseys, where I talk just uniforms. I don't care on that channel about the actual action of the game. It does not matter to me. We just talk strictly the uniforms itself. I have a rant about the MLB uniforms. If you guys know, they look absolutely horrible. Mismatched grays. The font is small. They rip. The pants rip. They're see-through. They look absolutely horrible. I'm very upset about it. You can check my rant out there on Fonz Talks Jerseys.
Awesome. Thank you all so much for all of those plugs. You can also go follow them in case you missed it at the links below in the description of this video once we post the podcast up on YouTube. Appreciate you all. And folks, want to quickly plug our NFL Draft live stream a week from tomorrow night, April 25th, Thursday, 8 p.m. It'll be hosted by myself, Fonz DeFalco, Andy Hopper, and Brian McCardle. Alec Walt will be our first guest, we believe, on the show. At this time, Walt will be talking about the New England Patriots and to see if they actually do draft Drake. May. The words did not want to come out there. Folks, appreciate you all. Make sure to check out Review and Preview at our social media tabs below. We are on all social media platforms, as you can see on our ticker. An hour, 49 minutes in. It's time to say goodbye. On behalf of Andy Hopper, Alec Walt, Fonz DeFalco, my name is Tom Scavetta. You've all been watching Review and Preview Mock Draft here on Facebook Live and YouTube. Have a good night, everybody.